I'm going to try every Sunday to do half an hour, start on time, and half an hour of learning. And then after, at 11, whoever wants to ask questions or for bang or say comments, we can do that. But I'm going to do like a half hour straight of learning. And that's our holy time of learning the Rebbe's words from 1990 to 1992, the Val Malchut, the Parsha of the week. So this Parsha is Vayetze, and it's a very, very long Sikha this week. So I think we're going to finish it next week. And even when I do it, I'm not doing the whole Sikha. I'm picking the different points because it's very, very long and really could be learned in many, many, many hours. But the points that some of the points of this week are connected also to next week because it's the birthday and the Yortzeit, the Hilula of the Middler Rebbe. So that's what he talks about in this week. So I will extend this week over 2 weeks and connect it to how this week is connected to the Middler Rebbe's birthday and Yortzeit and his day of redemption, the day he came out of jail. So let's go from. I'm not going to start from the beginning of the Sikha because there's a lot of questions and answers. So really, I encourage all of you, like I do every week, to take the Sikha if you can and learn it thoroughly, word for word. Every word is precious. Every word is holy. Every word is like, every nuance is like an amazing revelation. So we're going to take though some points that I'm trying to, that we can help us in as much as we can to get the maximum for what is we can relate to and bring us to another level of serving Hashem. So in this Parsha, we know that Yaakov is the main character, and what's being discussed is mostly about how he has to leave Vayetze, he has to leave his home, he has to leave his parents, the holy people that he was connected to, Shem Be'ever, where he was learning Torah for 14 years, and his mother and his father, and he's running away from a brother who's trying to kill him, and he has to deal with a very unholy, terrible, deceitful man, Lavan, and the whole parsha is talking about his trials and tribulations, and the Rebbe asks, why are when we're talking about Yaakov Avinu, the holiest, he was known as like the chosen of the three holy forefathers. Why is why are we getting the whole story mostly about all his trials and tribulations and dealing with Lavan and dealing in Haran and dealing in all these horrible places and horrible people? That's what the focus is. Why doesn't the Torah focus on when he was telling us of his life story, when he was with his parents, when he was with Shem and Ever? We don't even know about a lot of this stuff, but we know all about the, how do you say, what people could maybe say is like, I don't want to give negative connotations, but dealing with wild animals, so to speak, kind of, and unholy things in unholy places. So the Rebbe talks about, asks this question, and he answers it in a very, very, very amazing way. And I'll give you a little touch, and then we'll later on do it inside. But he says that it's specifically through Yaakov Avinu having to deal with all the difficulties of being in this physical world, in a dark place, in dealing with wild animals, hard people, difficult people. That's actually what is the place where he had to overcome. He had to persevere in his connection to Hashem, to God, and and in that place, he was able to actually build the Jewish home, get married, have the 12 tribes who established the Jewish people. And he said it's specifically through dealing with the darkness and the evil that he was able to bring out something of more holiness and more strength of revealing Hashem, not just in very easy holy places, but also revealing Hashem in a place where Hashem was completely, totally not known and visible before. And the Rebbe says that's why the Torah is specifically giving us the whole story of Yaakov when he was dealing with all this difficulties and darkness, to teach us that this is what we need to learn from Yaakov. We need to learn about his trials and tribulations so that we take a lesson for our lives when we're going to go through darkness, when we're going to go through hard times, we're going to have to deal with deceitful people, and we're going to have to deal with wild animals, and we're going to have to deal with being alone and running away from a brother who's trying to kill us, or God forbid, any hardships that every person, no matter what it is, has to deal with in this world. That is specifically what we can learn from Yaakov is that Hashem is present in the physical, dark, concealed world just as much as Hashem is in the high revelations of godliness, where we have this godly revelations of God in a way without any concealments. And that's the concept that it says that Yaakov Avinu came when he came to the Beis Hamikdash, where he came to the Temple Mount. He didn't know it was a Temple Mount, and he laid down to sleep, right? And it says that he was laying flat. And the concept of laying flat was that his head, which represents spirituality, and his body, which represents physicality, were on the same level. Meaning he was in such a state where he's in this world, in the physical world. You can't really see what's holy, what's mundane, what's evil. It's just all the physical and the spiritual were like caught up on the same level. And what Hashem did is he revealed himself to him in that place and gave him an ability to be able to see that Hashem is present in the spirituality, in the heights of our head, the same as Hashem is present, God is present in the mundane, in the physicality, and in the low part of ourselves. Meaning that not only is this world here just to serve as a conduit, to be able to highlight how awesome our mind is and how awesome our revelations of the spirituality of us is, but we came to a place where we're able to show and highlight how God is in the physicality, and in the lowest part of the world, Hashem is present. And in order to be able to do this, Yaakov had to come to an understanding that Hashem is way, way beyond all revelations. God is on a level of what we call atzmut. Hashem is atzmus. Hashem's level of essence is beyond revelation and beyond concealment, beyond the light and beyond the dark. So Yaakov had to come to a place where he realized that Hashem is beyond his limitations that he's created in the world and the revelations that created to create the world. Hashem's essence is beyond both. So in both levels of revelation and concealment, God is actually really in the same. And that's a very deep lesson, that when a person's going through trials and darkness, to be able to recognize, for Yaakov to be able to recognize that God is right there with him, just as much as he was with him when he was in his father's house and learning Torah day and night. Now he's with him when he's laying down to sleep on the floor, running away from his brother all alone. That revelation is something that the Rebbe is saying we need to learn from, to take that to our life, that Hashem is with us both in the high moments where we see God clearly in his revelations, and when we're in the low moments where we don't see Hashem clearly, where Hashem is concealed, but really Hashem is in both the same equally. From Hashem's perspective, there's no concealment, really. There's nothing can hide godliness. Hashem can't hide himself, so to speak. So we can connect to Hashem just as much. And not only that, ultimately, the Rebbe was telling us is that the whole purpose of having this concealment is to bring us to a higher revelation. So the neshama, through going through all this darkness and trials and tribulations and dealing with love and the deceitful man, and dealing with his brother wants to harm him and hurt him, and running away and having to establish a Jewish home in the darkest, furthest, hardest place, that really what actually elevated his soul so much more. Meaning dealing with revealing godliness in the mundane, in the physical world, and in the darkness of the world, elevated his soul much, much higher than it could have been without revealing godliness, with just the regular revelations of godliness that would come from Hashem. Meaning his personal struggle in this world brought godly revelation into not only his soul, also the Rebbe says, but also into the world around him, and revealed Hashem in the world to other people, and established a Jewish home with 12 tribes that became the Jewish people. So there's a lot of levels of reality and understanding that we're dealing with. And I gave it to you in like a nutshell, a whole bunch of, a massive amount of information. I kind of condensed it for you. And now we'll look inside and see it from inside in the Parsha. And welcome to everybody who's here. Let me just take a quick look. I see Perla, yay, and Mrs. Corp, wow. And Torah Healing, I'm not sure who that is. And Bela, welcome. And Nirala, I don't know who you are, but welcome. So wonderful to have you all here. And there might be more, I'm not sure. Okay. Whoever's here, welcome. Thank you for joining. So here we go. This is, for those who came a little late, this is a Sicha talk of the Rebbe on the Parshat Vayetze, the Parsha that we're in, about the struggles of Yaakov in this physical, mundane, low world with all the difficulties that he had to deal with, and how he came to the highest revelations of godliness, specifically through this world. And hi, Chana Segelman, I see you. And yes, welcome. Okay, thank you for being on camera. It's nice to see you in person. So here we go. Let's look inside. Actually, there's two books here. This book is the summary of it, and this book is the original. Now, the original, you have actually the words that the Rebbe specifically used, which is very, very helpful also, but it does take a little longer to go through. So I'm just going to pull out a few things. But it's nice to have the words of the Rebbe, even though it's a little longer, because you really, every nuance, every word the Rebbe chose was very, and the Rebbe did go over these sichot. As far as I know, he edited this one too. Okay, so here we go. Find the right place. Here, I'll say to you in the Rebbe's words. Okay, Yaakov Avinu came to a place where the sun is setting, which the Rebbe says has to do with less revelation of godliness. Okay, it's getting dark. Okay, it's getting scary. So and yes, Yaakov was scared. It says he took stones. He covered his head. And the Rebbe goes into a whole back and forth of like, it doesn't seem like those stones would really protect him too much because it was just around the head. What about the rest of the body? And any animal can come anyway and attack him over the stones. Like the significance of the stones was to show that he was mostly concerned with his spiritual side. He was afraid his neshama would get harmed, which is represented that neshama is in the head. And he's fearful. So the concept over here the Torah is trying to tell us is, yes, Yaakov is in a danger zone, and he's afraid. And the Rebbe says, what do we learn from this? That when a neshama of a Jew comes down into this physical world, in a physical body, and the world is covering up on him, world means a cover up. And specifically when the sun is setting, okay, so the sun is revelations of godliness, it's being less and dim. And as a result, he has to go lay down. He has to put himself in a way of, like we said, head and the head of his head and his feet are on the same level, meaning you don't see the advantage of his spiritual height, So what if he learned 14 years in the house of Shem and Ever? What is that going to help him now, right? It's like he's running away. He's running away from evil. So it seems like there's no hope for him, and no help from him for the fact that he learned Torah for 14 years and he has a high head and he has a very holy person. It seems like his head and his legs and his are on the same level, and we don't see the revelations of his head, and we don't see all the godliness that's usually manifest through him, through his mind and his brains and his wisdom and everything. So the Rebbe says like this. So this represents that we come down into this physical world, the lowest of the world, in terms of God's revelation. Our physical world is the end of all spiritual worlds, manifest down here, like God created many spiritual worlds, but this world, our physical world, is the lowest of all the worlds that God created, where darkness is the heaviest, darkest dark. And we don't see, when we're in a time where we don't see God's revelation, God's miracles, and specifically the Rebbe says, at the last part, Ikvata de Mashiach, the last part of Mashiach times, the end times before the revelation of Mashiach, the last moments of Galut, when we're in a state of like sleeping, with slumber. We're sleeping. We're laying down. We're not showing our best selves. We're not showing all our energy and our life force that we have in our brain and in our body. Everything's hidden. So, and everything seems to be the same. Our mind and our understanding of godliness doesn't seem to be of any help. It seems like our mind and our feet are on the same level. They have the same power. Not just that. This is a physical, lowly world that's full of klippa and sitra acha, meaning shells and unholy and pure things that are against Hashem mamish. Hashem allowed and created the things that would negate him. Hashem created things that would fight against him and rebel against him. So, and this is where we're in that state. And that's why it says Yaakov took stones because he was afraid of very chayotot, of wild animals. So the Rebbe says, what do we learn? That Dafka, specifically through going down, through this descent, then through that he was able to reveal and by overcoming another level, dimension of his neshama, of the spirituality of his soul, that's able to be revealed also in a physical body. Meaning not just like the angels are able to reveal Hashem, God, and see Hashem on a very high level, but it's not in a tangible body. Specifically through going through hardships, he was able to reveal godliness in a physical body, a physical coarse body. So even in a place where he was in the lowest of the low and he went to sleep because the sun is setting, right? We said sun setting is less revelation. Going to sleep is less revelation. Laying down is less revelation. 3 levels of less revelation of our powers of holiness. So that specifically then is when he was able to draw down the holiness of his soul also in his physical body. And not only that, his laying down brought out the understanding and the recognition that his physical body is one with his soul. And through the body, you can elevate the soul into a much higher level, meaning what we said before, that specifically going through all these difficulties, in the physical body, we're able to reveal powers that the neshama, the soul, could not reveal before it went and dealt through all the shmutz and the difficulties and the concealments of this physical world. Now, the Rebbe answers another question over here about why it says that he laid in that place, when it says he laid in that specific place. Why was it that Hashem brought him, he said, to that specific place, which we know later on was the Beis HaMikdash, the Holy Temple? Why is it there that Hashem made sure that he came and he actually laid down there? You know, you would think the Holy Temple, he wouldn't lay down, and he didn't know that it was the Holy Temple site. So he laid down. Why did Hashem make it that he would lay down specifically there? We know that Yaakov was very dedicated to Hashem for 14 years. It says he didn't even lay down at all because he was so busy learning Torah for 14 years. He just kind of like, stood at his lantern or whatever at his table and didn't allow himself to even go into bed. So why is it Hashem brought him to this holiest place and he's getting him to lay down? So that's what the Rebbe says. From this we can understand that laying down, having to lay down, having to be in that level of going down into the darkness of the world and being where you don't see the revelation of your head above the body, the higher part, your spiritual part over your physical part. That can be, and being able to then see that Hashem really is there in your body, as much as it is in your soul. Meaning to come to that revelation that Hashem is also in the darkness and the concealment, as much as he is in your neshama. He's everywhere because Hashem is beyond everything. So coming to that realization, he was able to do specifically in the place of the Beis HaMikdash. Meaning Yaakov had to come to the place of the Beis HaMikdash, the holy temple, that holy site, to be able to come to this unbelievable recognition that Hashem is way beyond revelation and concealment, and Hashem is one in the dark and in the light, in his revelation and in the concealment. Oh, I like seeing you, Rachel. Welcome, Rachel and Vorland. Come back when you want on camera. Now, so specifically, that's what the Rebbe is saying. In the holy place of the Beis HaMikdash, he was able to come to that revelation that Hashem, God, is beyond both revelation and concealment. Hashem is the same, and that's where he can really come to a place of understanding of Hashem's essence, not just God on his revelation level. This is similar to like what the last weeks or 2 weeks ago there was sikha about how when children pray to God, we say, there was one tzaddik, or the Chachamim say, Halavai, I wish we could pray like the children pray. The children are davening, are praying to Hashem's essence, whatever the neshama understands, without having the limitations of what their mind is understanding. So they go straight to God's essence when they're praying. They're crying out straight to God. So the Rabbi is saying, Halavai, that we should have that ability to pray directly to God's essence not necessarily to God's revelation. So there's something about being in that position where you're recognizing God in his totality of essence, not in his totality of his revelations. So having God be revealed in our brain and mind is unbelievable and is wonderful, and we want that. But ultimately, the goal is not to just have God revealed in our brains and in our understanding, but to have God revealed in the physical body and in the most furthest places where we wouldn't expect God to be revealed, to be able to reveal God there. That's what God enjoys and wants, and that's what our task is over here. So I guess instead of running away from problems and running away from evil, running away from negative situations, the Rebbe says, reveal the godliness in that moment. Reveal that Hashem is beyond and is here present with you. And let's look inside. In the spiritual sense, okay, he's saying what I said before. The spiritual part of the man is revealed in his upper parts of the body, and the lower part of the body represents his more coarse physical side. So when we see that when a person is lying down, his spiritual side and his physical side is the same, meaning the spiritual is not revealed so much. It's revealed just much, it's like the same level as physical. Still, what the Rebbe says, and that if you look at the source of things and the inner dimension of things, you can see that there's a great advantage over here. That specifically in this place where high and low, the above and below, are actually equal, that has to be able to come to that understanding that the heights of revelation and the places where God is hidden are all actually the same. You have to really transcend to a revelation of God beyond his revelations, to understand, to come to appreciate God and his essence. And when you coming to that revelation of God, to understanding or relating to God from his essence, that can only happen when we're down in this physical world and we're being pressed and we're being kind of like pushed against searching Hashem from the place of Meitzar, of limitations, and realizing that Hashem is beyond everything. So let's see it inside. See, when a person is in this state of his advantage, his spirituality, his physicality is like he's lying down, he's above and below are on the same level, he can come to actually realize there really are, in essence, on the same level. In terms of, from Hashem's perspective, Hashem is everywhere. Hashem is not limited by the limitations of the difficulties that we're being challenged in this world. Because the hiddenness where Hashem is hiding is not really hiding upon him. And they're really equal. So like it's known that by a simple person, it says, he's simply very much connected with godliness. Even if, let's say, he didn't learn Torah and he didn't have great revelations of mind and prayer and understanding, he can be connected to God on a simple level because he's just connected to God's essence, not necessarily to God's revelation. So there's something that the Baal Shem Tov was teaching us. See the advantage of simple people. They just go straight to God's essence, God without needing to have God reveal himself on very conscious high levels of understanding, just God himself. So this concept is also afterwards embodied in us, not just when we're on that level where we're laying down in it, but also when we get up. And we do see the differentiation between high and low, between our spiritual side and our physical side. Even then, the Rebbe says we can then still see how God is really equal and with us, both when he's revealed in our spiritual side and when we're in our physical side. And so even when we're standing up and we know the advantage of being smart and being aware and being able to learn and understand, still we can understand that Hashem is there, both when he's revealing himself, when we're in a high level of consciousness, and when we're not. Meaning, so the Rebbe says, in the service of every Jew, when a person comes out of Beersheba, which I had to skip that concept, when a person goes out of the holy place, his holy land, and the holy town where he came from, and spiritually also from holy revelations of godliness, and he goes to Haran. Haran was a very unholy place, a place where God hated, it says was angry. Charon is anger. There's full of unholiness. So there's two things can happen there and happen there. One, aside from a person overcoming and revealing his spiritual side to overcome the physical side and to bring himself to a place where his physicality does not hide at all his spirituality, because he makes his physical a vessel for godliness, meaning everything physical that a person has, he's using to be able to make it a vessel to reveal God in it. And therefore, everything physical that he comes to, he sees, oh, this is a potential way to use to reveal God. I wanted to bring a little like example that just because Hanukkah is coming up, in Siberia, there's a shliach, he brought, I think it was last year, he made a big, huge menorah from the blocks of ice that actually were carved out from a lake, or from the physical ice that's in the where he lives in that area. And it was a huge thing, many tons, I don't remember, 50 tons or something, like very, very heavy blocks and very high, and a huge menorah. That's like taking the physical, the ice of this world, and bringing holiness into it in a way that was never revealed before. This is this concept is like, I was thinking, who would think of such an idea of actually using the physical? Is chassid of the Rebbe, because the goal is to take everything that seems so removed, the most cold, hard, distant, physical thing that seems to not reveal godliness, to make that, specifically that, the revelation of godliness, use it to make a menorah, to shine Hashem's message of light in the world. And so that's just an example. When we go out and we look at something and say, oh, this is going to be I could use this to be able to teach better, to learn better, to daven better, to pray better, to do a mitzvah better. Every time we do that with the physical world, we're seeing it as a tool, as a kli, a vessel for God's revelation. Then the world is becoming, doesn't cover up, and it's a vessel to reveal godliness. So that's stage one. But then this avodah, this service we've always known. In these sichos, 1990, 1992, the Rebbe takes us to another level, and this is what the Rebbe highlights here. There's two things here. He says the second thing is that there's a hishtavut, there's an equanimity, equality, and a unity, itachdut, a unity between the physical and the spiritual. So it's not just that the physical is just here as a kli, as a vessel, as a tool to be used, but there's something in the physical itself that's equal to the spiritual. Hishtavut, which is equality, and itachdut, and unity. So even within the dimensions, he says, of their reality, meaning the physical is still physical. We're not changing the physical to something spiritual. The physical as it is in its physicality, and the spiritual as it is in spirituality, they are equal. And how is that? By revealing a level of godliness that's beyond the essence of Hashem, that's beyond both the spiritual and the physical. So we're revealing a dimension of godliness that's beyond, just that we need to reveal Hashem in this physical world, and therefore everything we use is a vessel for Hashem. No, but we are actually come to a place where from Hashem, we see things from Hashem's perspective. In Hashem's perspective, this world never really covered up on anything. This world, all the physical things are nothing to be. They're the same as the spiritual. They're not just a vessel. They're part of godliness too. But that takes a level of first working with the physical and making it a vessel, and making it that when we see, like when you look at a person, you see, oh, this is not just a person. You see, this person is a mother, or this person is a shlucha, or this person is you see another dimension of the person. You see, this person is a holy person. You don't just look at a person and you see their physical and their spiritual is imbued together. They become one. The spiritual and the physical is one dimension of them, and it's all there to reveal godliness and revealing God's essence. So this is a theme that we're not necessarily going to get just in this one sicha there, but highlights this concept of the physicality and the spirituality as one thing in many of the sichas of 1990 to 1992. And we'll see that more in other sichas, I'm sure, as we go along. Every Sunday, God willing, join us. Now, what time is it? Because I said I will finish the Sikha next week. Yeah, so we have, it is 11 a.m. So that's why I committed that we'll do inside for like half an hour and then open it for questions. So let me see who else joined us. And whoever wants to ask a question or make a comment or dig a little deeper, now's your chance. Welcome, welcome. Valda, I see your shining face. Yeah, what, you have something to say? You've gone through a lot, Valda.
Yes, that I have another class.
Oh, you have another class. Okay, good.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome, Valda. Have a tzlacha with everything. Share good news.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. So, Rachel, I see you came on screen. Should I unmute you, or you can unmute yourselves?
Oh, I didn't have anything, but it's such an incredible concept to be able to utilize the duality of the physical and the spiritual, and to realize that it is all one. And that's pretty much our purpose in Earth, in here, in this physical realm, in this physical reality, is to create spiritual through the physical. It's like we have to find the sparks wherever we are. And exactly like that example, when the Sheikh made the menorah out of this block of ice, it's like, who else would have thought that? Like, we have to create this like spiritual reality through whatever physical we have. And yeah, I think that was just a beautiful, beautiful point. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for the feedback. And yes, you do that all the time. You have creative ideas of how to bring spiritual ideas into physicality. So I can see why you're excited by this concept, because that's what you do. You make art that's like trying to reveal the higher dimension of spirituality and the physicality. There's so much more to the Sikha, and I feel really bad to have to stop it, but I really, next week we'll continue, because there's really, the Rebbe connects it to the Mittler Rebbe, and the Mittler Rebbe's birthday and Yortzeit is on the 9th of Kislev. So that will be a very appropriate next Sunday to discuss it. And then the day he came out of jail, he also had to deal with darkness, was the 10th of Kislev. So that will be, we'll talk about that next week. And we see all these great tzaddikim, not just Yaakov, almost every tzaddik that we know of had to deal with a lot of darkness, had to deal with a lot of evil and overcome. And we're told about it, that not to feel that, so that we don't get stuck and we don't feel shamed and we don't feel blame. We don't feel like maybe we did something wrong that caused it. Maybe we deserve it. No, the whole point is to show us, I think, that tzaddikim do this because this is given to them as their challenge in this world, to make the world a dwelling place for Hashem, a revelation of godliness in this physical, dark, evil world. And that's why the Torah keeps telling us about the challenges that the biggest tzaddikim went through, so that we take the energy that they and from their story to our life, and the learning point. It says whatever the holy patriarchs did, our forefathers did, it's a siman, it's a sign for us, and it's a learning lesson for us to take to heart for ourselves. It's not that they were just such holy, righteous people, they could do it. No, we're taught we're supposed to do the same. That's why we're told these stories, so that we take that and don't let anything stop us from revealing godliness in this world. And not only not stop us, but to take the physicality and see that it's, to begin with, nothing covering up on godliness. God, anything that seems to be a cover up on godliness is not a cover up at all. It's nothing to be afraid of, not to be ashamed of, not to be, angry about. So even if we see evil that gets us really angry, or very worried or very scared, which is what we're doing in this world right now. There's a lot of people who are fearful, angry, scared about what's going on with the pandemic. To not let that affect us, scare us, or intimidate us, or worry us, or get us upset, just to keep bringing godliness revealed into this world. That's our mission. That's what we're here for. Specific in everything that we would think it's impossible. No, the more impossible it seems, the more we can see that God is the same in everything, in the revelations and the concealments. There's nothing that we could say, well, this is too hard for me, or this is too distant, or too difficult, or too covered, or too coarse, or too impossible. No, it's for Hashem, it's all equal. Every cover-up is the same. The spiritual, the physical, the cover-up, it's all from God's essence. It's all the same. There's nothing really concealing. I love the place you're at, Rachel. Beautiful. Does anybody else want to ask a question or say something, make a comment? It's good to see you, Perla.
Thanks. Go ahead.
No, it's if you have a comment, you can. Now's your chance.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that I see it as tests, that just like they had tests of how to behave, that we also have tests of how to behave. And so we see this, what we think is evil or bad or whatever, but what's most important is how we relate to the physical world around us, whether we, call it evil or good. It's how we relate to that physicality. And that's the essence of what we have to do, because we are physical, and we have to deal in that physical world. And the stories are very inspiring, because we can see that they also had their difficulties of how to deal with each other, how to deal with their family issues, how to deal with mother and father issues, how to deal with brother and brother issues. It's very interesting, because that's how we all have to do it. And we think, how difficult, but it is difficult, but we have to, but that's our mission. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to figure out how to deal with all those things and bring the godliness into it. I thank you very much for making that, clarifying that.
You got that. You summed it up really well, Perla. You got what the Rebbe was saying. It wasn't me, it was the Rebbe saying it. And just trying to understand it to the best of our ability. And, when you look also at the Rebbe's life, it wasn't easy. He went through, both world wars and communism and everything. And America, as it was, in a very low state of being. And the Rebbe didn't let the darkness of this world, I guess, cover up on his mission of bringing Mashiach, of revealing Gula, and having that positive state of mind that the world is transforming and it's becoming a good place. It is a good place, and even in the darkness, God is there. It's like you said, what we perceive as evil is what we need to come to. Is like it's not really. There's no real concealment. It seems to us like it's concealing, but from God's perspective, it's not. So it doesn't need to stop us or intimidate us. That's the main message I'm taking out of it for today. Is there's many times we could say, okay, you know what? When things get better, I'll do this mitzvah. When things get better, I'll pray. I'll learn something. I'll help somebody else. But when things are difficult for me and tough, and I have to deal with a lot of undesirable things, then maybe I don't. I need to be, I'm excused maybe. And this is my take. Everybody can take another take. But for me, it's like, just, this is what we're here for, is to reveal God in this difficult, painful moment, not to let it darken our life, not to let it make us, in a state of fear, worry, anger, or whatever negative stuff. This is the moment to transform. When we reveal godliness in this moment, we're revealing that's the purpose. Our neshama came down, and it elevates our soul and the world and everything. So that's why we're here, and that's why God put us to begin with in this dark place. It wasn't just for no reason. There was a reason. Yeah.
Do it in a physical way. Explain an issue. Let's say a couple days ago, I got very upset. With my husband, and I decided I would take a walk. So I walked and I walked and I walked and I walked, and I found myself next to the synagogue. And I thought, I'll go walk in there. So I walk in the synagogue and I see, what is going on here? They are preparing for a challah bake-off thing, and with daughters and mothers, and it was for like 80 people. And I've been in quarantine for the last year and a half. I don't see anybody. I don't go anywhere. And I said to myself, I thought this event was last week and it was already done, but it's coming tonight. So I decided I'm going to walk home and think about it. All right. And I said, well, I probably won't do it, but I'm walking home, and who shows up? Who my husband's looking, he's looking for me. He picks me up. We go home, and I tell him, you know what? I think I want to go out tonight. And I tell him I want to go out. All right. So I call my daughter, and she wants to go. She's already made her plans to go. So I asked my husband, will you drive me over there? Because I don't drive. And so I drove over to the show with him. He dropped me off. I met my daughter. I met my granddaughter. And who's sitting at the table with us? I'm trying to understand. There is my daughter's teacher, my daughter's teacher's daughter, and this teacher's mother. My daughter has been trying to get me together with this mother for the last year because she's a widow. She just lost her husband. She has cancer. She can't see. She can't drive. She can't go anywhere. She knows nobody, just like me, you know. And here we are sitting right next to each other, making challah, to talk, to be together. And I said, that's why God had me run off to take this long walk. And suddenly, well, I think I'm going to do this, you know. And it's like he put something out there for me, and I did it. It was scary to do it, and I did it, you know. And now I'm planning on putting us together.
Pearlie, you know what? You remind me of the story of a Holocaust survivor who was asked kind of like, what was it that got him through the whole thing? So there was a point when he was a very young boy when he was in Auschwitz, I believe it was, and he was ready to give up, and he was about to give up, and he spoke to, there was a tzaddik there in the camps, labor camps with them. I don't know if it was Auschwitz or not, and one of the camps, and the Rebbe said, kept repeating to him and to the other people around, you're here to help. There's nothing more special than being able to help another Jew, help another fellow Jew. That's the most precious, most important, the best thing you can have and do and be and whatever is help another Jew. And he kept repeating that mantra. And so this boy at night, when he was despairing and couldn't sleep and upset, he would go around and help people, you know, cover them with a blanket, give them a hug, you know. And that saved him.
Right.
So you remind me of that story. You should have a speedy recovery. Wish they won.
Okay. Bye.
Mwah, mwah. Yeah. So who else is there? Anybody else? Hannah, would you like to say something?
Yeah. What I found that's so incredibly comforting is like the fact that Hashem is in every single moment of our lives, even if they're hard, even if it's so stressful, even like, you know, Rebbe went through so many things, there's so many hard things, but, you know, he changed it the way he saw it, his mind, instead of going to negative and feel, you know, helpless, he attached himself to Hashem, and he attached himself to Simcha, he attached himself to doing the work of loving kindness. And to me, that's so inspirational. And it's just something that I think we need to remind ourselves when going through sickness, when going through, you know, family issues, we're going through financial issues, we're going through so much. And I think that maybe the time when we need to do more to attach ourselves to Hashem, more for our mitzvahs, more acts of kindness, more tzedakah, more everything. That way, our neshama gets lifted up to Hashem, and it's easier to go through a process, I think.
Yes. Thank you, Hannah. Hannah has a Posh magazine, and Hannah's going to be helping me put these recordings on the internet, on a website. So thank you, Hannah. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being you and doing all the work that you're doing to reveal Hashem's light in this world. And yes, thank you for sharing your wisdom. It's we are, in a way, I think the Rebbe is going to bring this out later on more. We're very blessed and fortunate to have the ability to do this. And the Rebbe highlights also, it's not just men who need to do this. And later on in the Sikha, I'm going a little ahead, we'll do this next week, is the women also are the ones who are spreading Chassidus and spreading Hashem's light and bringing the Geula. And the Rebbe mentions that many, many times, and also in this Sikha. It's not limited. We can't rely just on the men. It's not going to happen. It's specifically us as women who also have this capacity. And really, connecting to what Perla was highlighting, it's through the physicality that we can reveal Hashem. It's women also are more attached to physicality in a way. They have bodies they have to take care of, and they have homes to take care of and kids to take care of. So we have more physicality opportunities, it seems, to reveal godliness within them, in our bodies and in our homes and with our children. These are all more vehicles of revealing God in the physicality. So we have that advantage of really elevating the world in a way more than men do.
Amen. Totally.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'm waiting to see more of your magazine.
Yeah, I'm working hard. Yeah, because the grueling time.
Do you want to tell us a little bit, like in 1 or 2 sentences, what your magazine is?
Well, magazine, I'm sorry, my glasses always fall. So the magazine was born because about 2 years ago, I went through a close death experience. When I was my 3rd child, I went and thought I had a stroke. My blood pressure went up so high that I thought I had a stroke. So I remember that moment when I was unconscious and I was pleading to Hashem, please another chance. And I want to raise my baby and my other 2 boys. I have 1 boy with autism, and I needed to be there for him. And so Hashem was gracious enough, he gave me a chance, and I went through this very harsh process of learning. And then it was something clinged in my head. It's I need to help people made aware, because I don't want them to be in the place that I was with, that I was pleading another chance, instead of having that peace and saying, okay, Hashem, your decision. But I was and for me, it was this kind of anguish. It's what am I going to do? I need to raise my children, but I don't want people to feel that way when that time comes. So that was how Parshat was born, and I wanted people to be aware of that there's always a chance, there's always an opportunity to do teshuvah, there's always a chance to reaching out to Hashem, there's always a chance to reach for Hashem's light. So I wanted other women also to have the voice of reaching out, spreading the light of Hashem onto the world, and unite, all my sisters to unite and spread the light. So it's been, oh my gosh, almost 2 years. It's time passes so fast, and it's a beautiful, hard work, but it's beautiful. I've met so many beautiful women, beautiful, amazing women filled with so much light and so much, gifts and creativity, and all over the world, worldwide. And it's been an amazing experience for me. I never would have thought, even for a second, that I would meet women in Switzerland, women in Israel, women everywhere, Jewish women everywhere. So it's been truly amazing. Yeah.
So this is also one of what the Rebbe talks about in the Sikha, the specifically through going down, you went to the lowest, you went to near death experience. That's the lowest of the low experience of I guess the pain, and from that you came to this most amazing revelation of godliness being revealed in many, many, many facets and ways that you never ever thought you could do or bring into the world before.
I never would have thought I could be a designer, so I actually developed it on my own. Everything I just developed it, well, not on my own. Actually, I had a friend, but I don't know, for some reason she couldn't do it anymore. She has a child with Down syndrome, and she couldn't do it anymore. It was too much for her. And go ahead, I just gave you the tools. You go ahead. Really? I could? Yeah. And I just okay, let's start then. And so everything took off, and I don't know, it's Hashem leading everything. I just leave it to Hashem, really. There's nothing else to do.
Good for you. Shakach. And I'm glad you put your TorahHealing.org on here. That's very smart.
Yeah.
your website on your thing.
Yeah,
Very
that's
smart.
that's my practice, and I do a ton of things, so I don't even I lose count what I do. So I help
for
and
you.
anything I can help.
Thank you, and thank you for offering to help me with posting things and getting the light out.
Yeah.
Reflect.
Yeah. If we sisters don't do it together, then nothing else, no one else will do it, really.
Yes, appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Anybody else want to share something before we close out here? I see. Deanna, did you want to say something? You usually have something to say.
I don't know, this morning I'm just feeling a little bit out of it, but like I really enjoy having this class, and like it sort of anchors my Sunday, and I love listening to you ladies share like all your experiences, and like how it relates to Sikha to your week, because it's like I feel like it like energizes me, for the Sunday. So all I want to say is thank you for hosting this. I love it.
Thank you, Deanna. Thank you for the feedback. I feel like there's so much more to give. Like there's like so much more content. So I encourage you to also just take up a sikha from the Rebbe if you can, even if you don't have this text, and just like give yourself a few minutes every morning. When I started learning these sikhas of the Rebbe, I learn every morning a little bit. Before my davening, before I start the day, before I get caught up in other things, and it really transforms my day. My whole day is so much more powerful if I have the Torah teachings of Rebbe at the beginning of the day. So I encourage you to just, I'm sure many of you are doing it, but I wanted to give you my 2 cents. Yes, thank you, Diana, for sharing. Anybody else? Rita, are you still there, Rita? I wonder if Rita's still there. Hannah, did you want to say something?
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, I'm here, Yehudit. So how can we do the Rebbe's learning on our own? Where do you go to learn?
So if you go to Chabad.org, you can. When Hannah, the lady who just spoke before, posts Beis Chana classes online, you'll have that online, a lot of recordings. Right now you could go, I do have a YouTube channel that has a few recordings downloaded. One of them might be the one from the one we did at your house, Rita. I'm not sure. But there is a YouTube, Beis Chana YouTube. I'll send it out, Bezat Hashem, God willing, the link or whatever, where you could find the YouTube channel with the recordings. But Chabad.org has a lot, has a tremendous amount of information, and on all levels and on all topics, and it's very, very well run in terms of like how it's presented, and organized. You can get audio, you can get visual, video, you can get text. It's all a lot of stuff. So much there. Unbelievable.
Thank you so much. And Hannah's learning is on TorahHealing.org. Is that where she posts her stuff?
I don't know if I'm not sure what I haven't actually checked her website. She's working on a magazine. So that's what she does. So we'll find out
Rita,
more.
I have my magazine, but I also have a practice and I teach. Right now I'm doing CBTT classes. The CBTT was originally created by Miriam Yerushalmi. And so I'm doing certifications right now with her blessing. And also I am working through trying to build courses and on TorahHealing.org, and I'm in the process of transferring all the content to a different platform. The first one was not working really well. So I'm going through right now. I'm working on that right now as we speak. And and I'll be posting. I don't know if you have a Facebook account. If you do, then I can send you a friend request, and when it's ready, and then when have everything ready for Yehudit, and then I can post that as well.
Great. I'm gonna keep in touch to find you. I know Yehudit and Miriam Yerushalmi. I look forward to your teaching to your son.
Thank you, Ita. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yehudit.
Bezat Hashem, we'll do more events, many more wonderful smachot together.
I feel like it's contagious. The more you learn, the more you want to learn.
Yes, because it's food. Food for the soul. The more you realize sometimes you could be hungry and not notice it. And then when you start eating, you realize, wow, I was really hungry. I really enjoying this food. So that's the way the soul feels. You start feeding it, it's like, oh my gosh, I really was starving for this.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Rita. So thank you, everybody. I'm gonna sign off unless anybody else wants to say something. I'll sign off now. Is there any one last chance? Thank you all for your positive feedback, for your insights, for your love. And V'ezrat Hashem, next week we'll celebrate the birthday and the yahrzeit of the Middle Rebbe, the second Chabad Rebbe. He was a very high level and an awesome person. So we'll hear more about what the Rebbe says about him and what we can learn from him for our life. V'ezrat Hashem. Okay, see you next week, V'ezrat Hashem. Oh, Rita, good to see you. Thank you for coming on camera. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, and thank you. Rita's daughter did the flyers so far. She's been doing flyers for Beis Chana, some of the flyers, and she's amazing. She's just a great girl. Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Be well.